lot of stupid people doing stupid things, and money's going crazy, and seems like every day just people get more ridiculous, and things are getting more ridiculous all the time. But things have been pretty ridiculous for a long time. Just now we're just more of aware of how ridiculous they are because we all have access to more of the ridiculousness that's going on. So it's all stupid. It's always been stupid. It's always probably going to be stupid. So I just hope it takes some time to just look around this world and go, well, this place is pretty cool. This life thing is pretty cool, in spite of all the stupidness. Okay, so hope you're enjoying your stupid life. Appreciate it for what it is. Okay, we'll see you around. Okay, bye.
Well, welcome once again to a beautiful and glorious day. I hope that life is treating you well and that you have decided to have a super freaking awesome day. Um, Little update on our little deal with our good friend Puya. I've received nothing as far as communication. That's what's going on. So I don't know what's going on. And once again, I'm not trying to launch a campaign where everybody goes and starts harassing him. So please don't do that. Um, just is what it is. That's. And I hate to say that, but it's just one of those things that's out of my control. And there we go. But people have found me. There's a positive to this whole thing is that people have found me because of the video, because of the music, because of the song. His listing me on there. People are like, "Who is this weirdo?" And why is this on the song? And so people have gone out looking for me. So that's good. So hey, there's a positive in all this. Um, but today, hey, I want to share with you. Let me see if I can find it. Our artist of the day. I talked about him yesterday, and I thought, let's go ahead and let's start with my friend. Uh, See if I find the video. I had it up here. He has a great song. He's got a lot of great songs. His name is Cliff Dorsey. He's out of Nashville, and um, Cliff Dorsey. He's on all social media. Just look up Cliff Dorsey. It's a great song. But you hear his voice. You hear that deep. You know what I'm talking about? Perfect country sounding voice. And totally dig him. A good young man, fine young dude, and he deserves a lot of attention. So get some time. Go check out my friend Cliff Dorsey. CLIFFDORSEY. Cliff Dorsey. He's out of Nashville. Also, he's in Florida quite a bit. That's where I met him. Is in Florida. So, but anyway, um, I've been getting a lot of interesting messages from people that I've I've held back sharing a lot. 'Cause, when somebody writes to me and they're pouring out their soul, I don't want to. It's like I don't. It's a weird situation because one, I want to share their story with other people, but at the same time, I don't want to share their story. Uh, I don't want to embarrass them, because it's a personal communication to me, and 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 some people will actually in the message will say, "Please, I would love for you to share this," which is great. So I'll do that, but most of the time they don't. But people will tell me about their circumstances in their life and how they came across one of my videos and it really kind of pulled them out of a weird funk. And that from those videos, they started kind of getting their life back together. Now, obviously, I can't take a lot of credit for that because I think to some degree people are looking for excuses to move on, and there's lots of great videos and there's a lot of great things out there that you can come across that can inspire you to do great things. And I'm humbled that my videos have that kind of an impact on people. It's there's really when you get looking at I don't have the biggest numbers on social media. I'm not complaining. I'm doing great. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm getting to talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people, and I said this has been it's been pretty amazing. This whole thing's been amazing. Um, but it's those kinds of messages that really just keep you going. It's like you feel like am I making any kind of difference? Is this really you know does this matter? I mean, if I just disappeared, is anyone going to care? Or um, but I think I go back to the story I've told before, um, where I was on stage one night. I was emceeing the show, and the couple comics went up. I went up there first, of course. I opened the show and it did fine. Did okay. Not I think tear the roof off the place, but I did well. Got the crowd going. Then a couple other comics go up and they did okay. Again, not great. So the show was just sort of kind of floundering a little bit. And so I thought, ooh, I'm going to go up, tear the roof off this place, man. I'm going to really get this crowd going. So I get up there and I decided to try some new material that I just thought of like that day. So I hadn't really put any real effort into it. But I thought, well, I'll just use a lot of energy and I'll sell it. So I got up there and I did it was about 5 minutes of material, and it was a disaster. It went nowhere. It was a complete and total disaster. And anyway, so I brought the next comic up, and then I get to the back of the room where my friend, the owner of the club, is standing there, and I kind of go and stand next to him, and he just looks at me and goes, "Good Lord, Rodney, what was that?" I'm like, I was just trying to find something new. He goes, "Let me ask you something. If you were back here watching that, would you be impressed?" And I'm sitting there thinking, well, no, I want no. I'm sitting there thinking about it. I was like, fair point. And it got me. It changed the way I did comedy from that point in time, because I started thinking from the perspective of the audience. It's like, what did they? I mean, they're paying money to come watch a show, and I'm up there just practicing, basically. And it's like, what am I doing? Here I got a great opportunity. I'm in front of an audience, and I'm not really. I'm just kind of phoning it in. I'm not really giving it my all. And that's where it was like, you know what? I need to change my focus. And what changed in my focus was I stopped worrying about me. I stopped worrying about me looking cool. I stopped worrying about what the audience thought of me, and I started going from the perspective of the audience. I started thinking about the audience more than I was thinking about myself. It's like, what can I do to entertain the audience? What can I do to surprise the audience? What can I do that's going to make this work better? Just that's how can I make the experience for the audience better instead of what can I do to look impressive? What can I do to get their accolades? You know. And so once I changed that, um, I really started to improve as a comic dramatically. And so, fast forward to doing social media, doing videos. That's something I've tried to carry on. Is what is it that the audience needs to hear? What can I bring to the audience that they're not getting somewhere else? And I realized that in this modern age, with all of this technology, um, we can be so connected more so than ever before, but at the same time, we're feeling less connected. It's this the weirdness of what's going on. So I feel bad for younger generations. I feel bad for Gen Z and millennials. Well, millennials still kind of had they were very closely connected to Gen X in that regards to still have some, at least some of them still have a memory of what it was like before the internet age, and um, to some degree they might have still some connection to that. But I fully raised in that part of life where we had hardwired phones. This is funny. This is one of those things that we have. When I was growing up, when you were telling a joke about being on the phone, you did this, right? The younger generations don't understand that. They don't have any connection because phones are. So you do this. It looks weird, but anyway, it's just one of those silly things. But so we've lost that personal connection. You get when you go. That's what I love about stand up is it's so intimate that it's you. There's a direct relationship, more any different than anywhere else in entertainment. Because like you go to a theater, you go to live theater, sure it's a live audience, but the performers are there's a wall. They call it the fourth wall, um, where you're completely ignoring the audience and you're just giving that performance. So the audience is part of it, but not so much. You know what I mean? You're still going for an audience reaction, but it's not the immediate connection. There's still a connection to an audience, but there's not that what you find with stand up, and to some degree improv has that, but stand up specifically because you're directly communicating straight to the audience. You're having a conversation with the audience, and because of that, it's a different relationship that you have there than you do anywhere else in entertainment, and it's the best. It can also be the worst. It can also be a horrifying, miserable experience. But usually, I find it to be very, very enjoyable, and it feels like people want to have that human connection. They want to be connected with people. They want to know uh, people. They want to be seen, and they want to be appreciated. And never. I try not to lose sight of that when I'm on stage. It's about it's when you're having a conversation with somebody. If they just sit there and stare at you like, and they don't respond, you're sitting there going, "Oh, is they all right?" If they're on their phone the whole time, if they're not paying attention, you feel like, is there something wrong? Is it me? What you know what I mean? You have that. Um, and so I've seen comedians will get up there and they don't treat it like it's a conversation. They just get up there and they just perform, which It still works, but and you could still perform and still have that connection with an audience. But I think a lot of them, it's like you get up there and we're talking at the audience. We're not talking with the audience, as it were. And so I try when I do stand up, when I'm writing stand up, and when I'm performing, I try. My goal is to treat it like it's a conversation. So when you're talking to somebody and you've finished a thought, you stop and let them respond. You know, you give them a moment, and so that's how when I perform, I think of it as a conversation with the audience. So here's what I've said. Here's your chance to respond, whatever the response is. Hopefully, it's laughter, right? That's what you're going for. You're hoping to get laughter from it. So it's that relationship is so much fun. So now with videos, um, with the internet, with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all this stuff, trying to think about how do I get that connection that you have on in stand up with with people on the internet through a video. Can it be done? And is it even worth trying? And so I decided that you have those moments where you send voicemails to people. You send a message, you send a text message, you have a conversation with somebody. Even though they're not there, you're still communicating with them, right? And so I thought, okay, what if I were to treat every video like it's a voicemail that I'm leaving to a friend? That there's this conversation going on. They've asked me for advice or whatever it is. How can I have that sort of connection with somebody? And so that's what I started doing when I make a video. Is I think of one person, I think of one friend, I think of one individual, and what is the message that I want to share with that one person. And that's it. That's how I stopped thinking about trying to appease the audience of a large audience. I stopped thinking of it that way. I started thinking of the audience as just one person. And I do that with the videos. And it's interesting because with videos, thinking of it in that way, that you're having that one-on-one connection, and that you're delivering a message for them and about them. It's not about me; it's about them. And that is, I think, is the key to what I do and what I'm trying to accomplish. Is delivering a positive, um, and fun, interesting message, to one individual, to you. You are what I'm about. And in doing so, it's been a lot of fun. I don't have to worry about getting canceled or saying things inappropriate, because I'm talking to my friend, to my friends. And plus I'm just not. I'm not one for controversy anyway. So, but um, somebody just said I farted. Sorry. Well. Thank you for being involved in the conversation. I appreciate that. That's a connection. Um, so where am I going with this? That's a question. um, but no, it's just when I get these messages coming back to me, and I think that's what the people are realizing, that look, that you are loved and appreciated. There are a lot of people in this world who love you and care about you, but they're wrapped up in their own world, and they're doing their own thing. And so I thought, well, hey, why don't I be the one who reaches out to other people? You know, why don't I be a positive influence in this world? There's one thing that my mother God bless her. She's such a wonderful woman. When I was growing up, um, we would go to church, right? But we were poor, and so we were kind of, what we were categorized, shall we say. Um, but one thing that we always did in church is that you're looking to help other people, help other people. That's that we you should be. If you're a Christian or just a good person, you should be looking. See somebody who is in need and needs help. You should give yourself, right? And in church, we'd have people in the neighborhood who were members of the church who weren't going to church anymore, and so um, you look to reach out to them and still let them know that they're loved, appreciated, and invite them to church activities and stuff. And I remember this one family in particular. They were a little rough around the edges, and they were good people. They were just like us. I mean, I didn't understand what the issue was. They were like us. We liked them. They were a cool family. We started hanging out with them. Me and my brothers became friends with them. And but they weren't active in church. They didn't go to. They had been members of the church, but they'd gone inactive, right? Well, anyway, there was a scout camp that was coming up, and so we invite they were invited to go with the scouts to this scout camp with church. Well, there were members of the church that didn't want those guys, that family in particular, to come because they were worried they would be a bad influence on the other boys and scouts. God bless my mind. This is I remember this. I remember this to this day of just being one of those moments where you're just going, "Mom's rock, mom rocks." So the scoutmaster had told everybody, "Hey, we're meeting at the church at 4 o'clock, and then we're gonna. This is like on a Friday night, so we're gonna meet at the church at 4 o'clock. We're all gonna get up there. So we get up to the campsite before dark and set up, and because it was going to take about, I think it was like the campsite was like 2 or 3 hours away, so it was up in the mountains. Um, so they told everybody 4 o'clock, right? They told my mom that they were meeting at 5 o'clock because they knew that mom was bringing my brothers and these other boys from this other family. She was gonna be bringing them to the church to go to this activity. So my mom loads everybody up in the station wagon, and we go to the church, and nobody's there. Nobody's there. We're sitting there going, "Oh, we're supposed to be meeting at 5." And my mom kind of put it together what just happened. That realizes they've left. They already left. So my mom, not to be deterred, was like, "Well, let's go." And so we loaded up in the station wagon, and mom took them all to the scout camp by herself, 3 hours away. Drives there, gets there. It's dark by the time they get there, or at least it's getting dark. Um, but she shows up and uses the headlights in her car, and they find the camp where the rest of our group was supposed to be. She shows up, get out, set up the tents, and my mom was like, this guy was like, "Oh, we're so sorry, we didn't know you guys were coming." And my mom, my mom says, "Well, we just realized maybe there was some miscommunication, but we just knew that that the scout camp just wouldn't be the same without these boys here." And she just kind of played it off. She, they knew that she knew what had happened, but they were trying to play it off, and she's just like, whatever. So she leaves the boys there, and then she goes, "Do I need to come get them, or do you have room to take them back tomorrow?" And they were like, "Oh, no, I don't think we have room." And so mom was like, "Okay, I'll come back and pick them up." And so, went home. And the next day, I think they were breaking camp right around about 1 o'clock. And she went back up there and picked them up. And my mother was just awesome. Thing that she always told us was, don't be afraid to be friends with people who are different than you. Don't be afraid. She says, people that you think that they're a bad influence, um, they're only a bad influence if you let them be a bad influence. Why don't you go and be a positive influence? Why don't people who are not like you, people who don't think the way you think, those are the people you want to be friends with, because they're the ones that challenge you. And don't judge people because of like we had one time when I was a kid. I don't remember this. I was a baby at the time, but we were living in this apartment, and that was on it was like an upstairs apartment on somebody's house. And my mother would have this Samoan woman um, come and babysit us all the time. And she would, and she was a gal from church, sister from church. That's where we met. Mom had met her, and my mom needed a babysitter, and this gal was available, and did a great job. And so my mom would have her come and to the house all the time, babysit his kids. Well, people in the neighborhood who were members of the church as well um, were a little dismayed. They were bothered that she was allowing this person of color um, in her home. That wasn't appropriate. Um, so my mother uh, told our the babysitter, said, "Hey, you should just come and hang out more. In fact, bring some of your friends." and so and so they would come over. We'd have uh, big parties at the place with all these Samoans and Tongans, and it was pretty funny. And then the landlord was the guy that we were renting from. He was also bothered by the fact that she was allowing those people over. And so finally, the the guy was like, "Look, you're going to stop bringing them here, or I'm going to have to kick you out." Because you could do that back then. This was back before you could just kick somebody out if you wanted to, without a whole lot of reason or notice. And so my mom said, "You know what? Um, I don't think I want to live here anyway. Um, I'm tired of giving you money, um, and so we're going to move out." And the guy's like, "Oh no, you don't have to." I said, "No, we're leaving," and we moved out within 3 days. We were up and gone. Um, that was the kind of example I got from my mother, was that you don't judge people because you think that they're less than you. She says, if you think they're less than you, the person that is less is you. If you're looking at somebody else and you're thinking that somehow you're better than them, or that you're because you have more money than them, or the color of your skin, or what, if you think that if you think that you're better than somebody else, you've already made yourself less as a human being. And so I always carried that with I've carried that lesson with me throughout my whole life. It's like, So you see people who are, look like a little rough. One thing I find, because I've hung out with a lot of rough people, because I grew up in racing cars, and the kind of people who are in auto racing, most people would sort of look down on them. But to me, they were family. These were people who were not, for the most part, not all of them went to church. Um, and in Utah, growing up in Utah, it's a big deal with you whether you go to church or not. At least to people who go to church, at least it was. I always found it silly that you would here you claim yourself to be a Christian, and yet you're looking down on other people, like you're thinking that you're better than them. I never understood that. I was like, are you not reading? Are you not reading the same Bible I'm reading? I don't. Nowhere did Jesus say, "Hey, you're better than all these other people." Never once, not once did Jesus ever say that. So I never understood that whole idea of thinking that you were, because you went to church, somehow you're better than other people. But I remember that thing about my mother. She says, if you think that somebody else is less than you are, you've already placed yourself below yourself. You're the one who's the problem because of your judgment. And so I've always carried that with me, and so I was never afraid to be friends with everybody and anybody. If you were an outcast and a loner, I already liked you, and I enjoyed when I was in lunch. I would go and sit by myself just to see if somebody would come and sit with me. And then I would also have those moments where I just see people by themselves. I'd go and sit and say, "Hey, I saw you sitting here by yourself. What's your name? I think we have a class together." And I would just get to know them, just talk, just get to know them. And I got to know a lot of really cool people because I didn't have a clique. I didn't like being in a clique. You know what I mean? And so I just never. And plus, we moved around a lot, so I was always having to start over. And that's something that I understood, was that if you want to have a friend, just be a friend. Just go out and just say hi. I like you. I'd like to get to know you. And amazing things happen. And I remember when I was in Springville High School, and we had a transfer student came in from South Africa. Now, if you're not familiar, back in the 80s, South Africa was going through apartheid. And there was a complete separation between the whites and the blacks, right? And the whites were in charge of everything. So they ran the government, everything. This is the time of Nelson Mandela. Why he was imprisoned was because he was trying to get all the Africans to basically protest apartheid by just stopping participating in society and just say, "Hey, let's just stop. Let's go on strike." And so that's why he got imprisoned and all that stuff. And yes, Nelson Mandela, the very person of the Mandela effect. To be honest with you, people have said, "Oh, people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison." I had never heard that, so I didn't hear about that until people started talking about the Mandela effect. I'm going, "What are you talking about? He went on to become president of the country. He didn't die in prison anyway." So anyway, this guy, black guy, South African, as a transfer student, came and was in our school. He was the only black guy in a school, and everybody was scared to talk to him, to be honest with you, because he had an accent that you had to kind of really pay attention to. It was different. It was a different kind of accent, and everybody was just kind of scared. And I don't think it was like, "Oh, we don't want to, oh no, we're not going to, oh no, terror." It wasn't like there were. It wasn't so much a racist thing as it was just sort of, they were just scared. It's like, I don't know how to talk, what do I just say, and he had been there for about a week. I didn't have any classes with him. I saw him in the hall. I mean, everybody knew who he was, obviously. And I'm sitting there at lunch one day, and I'm getting my lunch, and I'm looking around, where to go sit down, and I see him sitting by himself, as he was always at lunch. And I thought, I'm just going to go say hi. So I went down and I sat next to him, and I said, "Hello, my name is Rodney." And he introduced himself. His name was Alpheus Makokolo. I still remember that. It's the coolest name. It was Alpheus Makokolo. And I asked him, I said, "Well, hey, I've been here for a week." I said, or so. I've seen you around. I said, "How's it been going? Where are you from?" And so he told me his story that he was in South Africa, and he actually joined the church, became a Mormon in South Africa. And because of he became a member, that the church had a program to help a lot of the youth in the church to come to the United States to get an education, because he could get a better schooling here than he could there, because the school system, with the apartheid, the schools were horrible. And he was a very smart kid, very, very smart dude. And so he got this opportunity to come here, and I said, and so he's there, and so I'm asking him. I said, "Well, how's it going? Well, you're here. How the fitness is?" He goes, "You're the first person who's talked to me." I'm like, "Oh," I said, "Man, I'm sorry I didn't talk to you sooner." And so we got talking. So he told me about his family back home. He told me about his host family in Utah, and it was just a lot of fun chatting with him. We were joking, and it was great. And I remember when lunch break was over, we were headed to class, and I said, "See you around." And I made it a point every time I saw him, waved, said hi. And I had people come up to me and go, "Hey, what's that guy like?" And I'm going, "Hey, he's really cool. His name's Alpheus. You got to go talk to him." And so people started talking to him. Then all of a sudden, after, the next day I went and sat next to him. But when I went to sit next to him, he had two other people were sitting with him, and he was talking to them. So I just sort of casually was, kind of part of the conversation, but I was more just kind of hanging out. And as time went on, pretty soon he became like the most popular kid in school, and everybody was talking to him, and everybody was getting to know him, and he was just became very popular, very, very popular. And it was just, people were like I said, I don't think it was so much. It wasn't so much a racist thing. It was like just scared. It's like, "Well, I don't know what to do." I'm like, just he's a human being. Just go talk to him. I had people were asking, "So what's he like?" I'm like, "He's a cool dude. Just go say hi." And I mean, he became more popular that he wouldn't talk to me anymore. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was really cool to just go talk to him. And so it was just it's fun when you drop that judgmental part, when you stop when you stop putting people in categories, when you stop thinking about people, when you start, like I said, when you start judging people, you're hurting yourself. You're closing off your own opportunities. You're closing off your own uh, self. You're hurting yourself. Um, and that to me is probably one of the most beautiful things about my mother, that I've always carried. And she's still alive, by the way. Just so you know. So I mean, um, she lives in Missouri, and she's just a wonderful woman. Just a wonderful. I really have a great mother. She's a little passive aggressive. She thought everything was a crisis, but at the same time, she was pretty level headed in a lot of ways, and she married my dad when she was still in high school. I think she was 16, 17 when they got married. Because back then, people got married really, really young. And when she married my dad had already been married and had two kids. He had and been and then got divorced, and then so my dad got married really, really young too, twice. And so she went from being a teenager to a mom instantly, and then of course shortly after she started having um, my little sister and then the rest of us. But yeah, she was a young mother, stayed at home for most of her life. Stay at home mom for she eventually had various jobs, but she really dedicated herself to us, and she's a great mom. And it was her dad was uh, Jack McPhee, who was the inspiration for my character, by the way. And I think I get a lot of my sense of humor from her because she has a very dry wit. She's the kind of person who's funny unintentionally. She's just that kind of person, and she's just a delightful human being. I love her very much. Try to talk to her a couple times a week if I can, but good, good, good person. Good. I love my mother, but and a lot of it is from those lessons. I'll never forget her just driving up there and dropping them off, and turn around and pick them back up, and then those all those that whole family started coming to church, and they had stopped going. Um, they'd stopped going because of something that had happened with another member, and when my mom and our we started befriending them, they started coming to activities and going to church because they had somebody to talk to. They had somebody who they felt like they were part of something, and so we we've just I've just always been that. I've always thought that way. And when you think about Jesus, he one of the things that they uh, hated about Jesus was the fact that he wasn't going and hanging out in the synagogues and preaching to all the uh, all the synagogue goers, all the religious people. He was going and hanging out with prostitutes and drunks. He was going and hanging out in the bars, basically. That's where Jesus was. He was all with the regular people. He was talking to the people that were looked down on in society, and he was like, "Hey, look, these are the ones who need it. You guys got it all figured out. I'm hanging out with them." And that's where you should be. And like I said, I'll never forget that thing with my mother. It says if you think somebody's less than you, you've already made yourself less than them. And it's always stuck with me. Something that's always stuck with me. So, and another thing that she used to say about church. This was interesting because I if you're looking for reasons to not go to church, other people are a good one. I mean, if you're looking for excuses, blaming it on other people is an easy one to do. Um, but I'll never forget one thing that she used to always say that her dad and my grandpa. Well, I also, he had said it to me too, and it was something that she had always carried was that the church the church teaches what is right, but the people are still idiots. As in, if you're going to go to church to get closer to God and to improve yourself. You use that opportunity to get closer to God, to become more like God, and to feel better about your life, to make your life better, to become a better person. That's why you go to church, not for the other people. You're not if you're going there to impress other people. If you're going there to, hey, look at me, I go to church, then you're you're failing. You're failing at the whole Christian thing. So anyway, what else was I going to talk about today? But yeah, so life is good. I slept well. We had a storm came through, and it is we got lots of snow outside, but I think it's done. I'm hoping this is the last big storm for the year, and that we can spring will show up here pretty soon. But other news going on with me, we just solidified. I made the announcement. See if I can find it. Just solidified a date for April 21st. I'm going to be in Eugene, Oregon, doing a live stand-up comedy performance for your pleasure and enjoyment. So if you're in the Eugene, Oregon area, you're going to be a place called World Pies, which is my understanding. It's a pizza place. They have a performance area that seats about 200 people. And we are going to do a show there April 21st. Tentatively scheduled right now to do one show at 7 p.m. We do have room, though. If we sell more tickets, we'll do a second show. So if you're in Oregon, anywhere thereabouts, let me know. We're also looking to hopefully add a show on April 20th somewhere else. They have something else already planned for April 20th because, well, it's the unofficial National Marijuana Day. And so there's a lot of marijuana stuff going on. So I think they had something going on with that. So, but we're going to be there. But I'm looking to add a show April 20th somewhere in the Northeast. If you have a venue or know anybody that has a venue that we could do a show on April 20th, it's within reason or within easy travel of Eugene, Oregon, that we could add another show, like in Bend, possibly. I don't know. If you know anybody, I would like to do another show in that area. So that's what we got going on there. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, I'm going to be doing a thing with a group called it's Dry Bar Unscripted. It's a dry bar comedy, which if you haven't gone and checked out Dry Bar Comedy, you should do that. I have a lot of great friends who have comedy specials on Dry Bar. I've got a couple on there myself. If you want to go see my the way I used to look without the beard, and I have that's on there. It was from the first season of Dry Bar, and I've done a couple more since. You're going to check those out. But Dry Bar Unscripted is an improv group from Utah that is, kind of whose line it is anyway, kind of stuff. And they have this thing where they do a stand-up, goes up and does 5 minutes of material, and then they do an improv based on the stand-up's material. And so I'm going to be doing that on March 31st and April 1st. So be there if you're in the Utah area, in the Provo, Utah area. I'll be doing that. And just know that if you come to the show, I'm only doing 5 minutes. So it's a taping, and it's for broadcast. It's intended for broadcast. So if you come, you meet, I'll be there. Just come and hang out. I enjoy your company. I would enjoy your company. Update on Jeebus, the movie. My understanding is things are moving forward and going well. Things are going really well for the movie. It looks like we're going to get some distribution. It's going to get out there. It's going to get seen by people. So I'll post some stuff about it here later on everywhere. There is a trailer for Jeebus out there. If you go look out for it. So we're out there. So there we go. That's our that's our message for today. It's oh, this is interesting. It's hard for beard guys to go back to no beard. It is. It really is. I did. Well, I had grown my beard out um, because I wanted to do a really authentic Santa Claus stand up. That I wanted to do a really authentic Santa Claus stand up. So I had grown the beard out, and I was working on the material, and then I got cast in this movie. And when I went to makeup for this movie, they shaved part of my beard off. And before I even had a chance, I was just sitting there in the chair, and she goes, they didn't really have full beards during this time period. And she just took this part right off. So I had lamp, and it didn't look good. It looked, because my chin's not real, so it looked really awkward. I looked strange. I looked like a walrus, and so I shaved the beard off, and then just started over. That was in November of 2018, and as soon as I shaved it off, I was like, I shouldn't have shaved off the beard. I should have just kept what I had. I love having a beard. It's you can do that. Yes. It looks, when you do that sort of thing, it looks very intelligent. Oh no, he's very. Whoa, look how sophisticated he is. But anyway, that's a weird thing. Let's see. Let's take some questions from the loving audience here. I really appreciate we're getting a bigger following on YouTube, which I really appreciate. So everybody watching on YouTube, thank you. For the longest time, the biggest numbers came from Facebook, but now it is YouTube is a big deal. And of course, all my friends on TikTok. TikTok has become a weird. I think TikTok is dying. To be honest with you, I think something. If it doesn't get taken out by the government, I think it's going to take itself out, because they're making a lot of really weird choices over at TikTok. And I think people are just. I've just noticed that less and less people are on TikTok. At least it seems to me like there's just not what it's not what it was. So it's all changing. It's all evolving. Okay, what is it? Do I drink coffee? No, I do not drink coffee. I've never cared for the flavor. I had my grandparents all drank coffee. I know coffee. I tried coffee when I was a kid, and I hated the flavor. I like the smell of coffee, but I hate the flavor. I never cared for it. In fact, that's a funny story. When I was in boot camp in San Diego, one of the drill instructors, realizing that I was a Mormon, he made me what they called the house mouse. And what that was is that I was one of the guys that would take care of the drill instructors area. I had to take out garbage and that kind of stuff. And he did. They did that because you had to be trusted by the drill instructors, because you were going into their personal space. Well, one of the jobs was you had to make coffee every morning for the drill instructors. And one of the problems they would have is that they, let somebody make the coffee, and usually they would steal it and they would drink it and try to get away with it. And the reason they wanted me to do it is because they knew I'd never drink the coffee. And they were surprised when they said, "Hey, Norman, make some coffee," and I made some coffee, and they were like, "Oh, you're a coffee drinker?" I said, "No, I'm Mormon." They're like, "Wait a second, you don't drink coffee? How come you know how to make coffee?" I'm like, "My grandparents. I used to make coffee for my grandparents all the time, so I knew how to make coffee, but I just never cared for the flavor. Just never cared for it." And if you have to add lots of things to your coffee to make it not taste like coffee, I would suggest maybe you don't like coffee either. So I see all these people doing all these frappe, cappuccino, chupa, doopa doopa dapa doopa doo doo boopa doos, putting in caramel and chocolate and sugar and cream. I'm like, why don't you just have some hot chocolate? You probably enjoy it a lot more. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you do like a super caffeinated hot chocolate. Yeah, that's what we should do. That's what we should do. That should be a thing. Hyper caffeinated hot chocolate for people who want the coffee boost but hate the flavor. That's a thought. Let's see. Um, Tea's healthy. I drink. In fact, my current thing, I'm drinking hibiscus tea with a little bit of honey. That's what that's what I'm currently consuming. So we're talking about coffee. Oh, D Griffith. You know what's sad? I'm drinking decaf on top of it. so, you're, so you're drinking coffee without the kick. That's something. That's dedication. That's dedication, my friend. Um, that's my thing. So no, I don't. No, I drink a lot of herbal teas. I've always drank. My mom was really into herbal teas, and so we always had herbal teas around. I've had regular tea, and again, it was one of those things. If you to like it, you had to add a lot of sugar, and I just never. I was like, I don't care for it, so I don't drink regular tea either. That was always funny when I remember talking to somebody. It was in the Marine Corps, where they're like, "Oh, so you're Mormon, so you don't drink alcohol." And I was like, "No." And he says, "So you must be a teetotaler then, huh?" And I was like, "Well, funny you should mention that because yeah, we don't drink tea either." He's like, "What?" Yeah, coffee, tea, regular tea, not or we can do herbal teas, but tea, we don't drink that. It's just one of those things. So, da-da. Drew, what's a decaf still has caffeine? Yeah, but not. I mean, it's very limited amounts of caffeine. Caffeine's one of those things. It's like on back and forth whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. I just think uh, if you become addicted to caffeine, it could be a problem. But living your life without caffeine is better. I really think that. And Marine Corps, yes, I was in the Marine Corps. Evelyn hibiscus and what was it? And rooibos. I've never heard of that. Well, the run, the Navy electronic warfare. He's a Good morning, good sir. Thank you. No, thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Um, my morning rants. I don't. I've gotten some good feedback back from it, which is nice. It forces me to get up and actually uh, do something productive because I gotta kind of plan out what I'm going to talk about. So. Um, it's been good. It's been really good because one, I'm writing a book, and a lot of the things I've been talking about here are part of what the book is going to be about. A lot of the stories. The book obviously going to have a little more details and flush it out a little bit. But this is my opportunity to kind of work out some ideas, and I appreciate all of you for being here. I love your comments, your questions. I love your feedback. A lot of you have been sending some great messages. Like I was talking about at the beginning, a lot of people have reached out to me and shared with me their stories about coming across my videos and how it's kind of gotten them out of the funk. And like I said, part of that is I don't want to be a part of the negativity and the contentious nature of what's going on in the world, because the contention and controversy gets attention. It gets you more views. It gets you more followers. I mean, that's kind of the big deal, is if you can get out there and start throwing rocks at people. Other people are like, yeah, you're throwing rocks at people I want to throw rocks at, and I just don't want to be a part of it. I want to. I guess what I'm saying is I could do a lot of things that would be more would get me more attention, would get me more followers. But I don't want to, because once you start going down that road, once you start going down that path of attacking and being like that, then you're just then that becomes your life. That becomes what you do. And if that's what you want to do, then fine. And you still get the numbers, but you're constantly just always fighting with people. It becomes a very I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to. There's two ways to fight something, and so don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm not. You can either attack your enemy. Okay, there are two ways to win war. One, attack your enemy, or two, become stronger yourself. So you either attack your enemy or you become stronger yourself. I've decided that I want to help people become stronger, and I want to become stronger myself. I don't want to attack the enemy. I want to become so strong the enemy can't attack me. Are you with me? This is it. Kind of goes back to the art of war. Is that you can either fight for things that you believe in, or you can fight against things that you're opposed to. I want to fight for things that I believe in. I want to fight for good things. I want to be a part of the support team, if you will. I'm here to prepare you. I'm here to help you through life, help you through the great teachings of the Stoic philosophers, of Buddha, of Lao Tzu, Jesus, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Nietzsche, to be able to draw from the wisdom of the ages and share the messages that are positive and strengthening, uplifting, but helping you become better at being able to deal with your life, rather than well, I could spend a lot of time making videos that are attacking other people that you might sit there and go, oh, yay, he's on our side. Hey, whatever. And there's lots of people doing those. And I didn't really want to contribute to that negativity. Instead, I want to support people at doing good things. You know what I mean? Um, I want to help people prepare to just live their lives in a more productive and happier way, and do so with a smile and a wink. And I'm having a great time doing it. I really am. But no, if you're, and that's the thing, is that you can decide to just be more positive. You really can, and um, not to the point where you're ignoring everything. It's not about ignoring everything. It's not, and it's not about. It's like I did a video one time. It's one of my favorite videos, but it didn't get a lot of attention. But I basically said, being positive doesn't mean that you're um, delusional and thinking everything's going to be perfect and work out. It's not. It's not. It's not about thinking everything's going to be okay. It's knowing that regardless of what happens, you're going to be okay. That you're going to get through whatever this is, whatever difficulties you're experiencing, or whatever life is throwing at us. Because right now, a lot of weirdness going on. I mean, for crying out loud, the Defense Department has come out and said, "Hey, there's a big mothership hanging out there, and we don't know what they're doing." I mean, think about it. We're living in an age where the government has admitted there are UFOs, that they have found UFOs, and that there's a big mothership that could probably kill us all hanging out, uh, watching us, and we can't do anything about it. I mean, think about that. And it hardly made any disturbance in the news at all. I mean, that should be huge. We should all be going, "What? What? Huh?" But we got everything else going. We got banks failing. We got people trying to get all the money out of their banks. All the small banks are scared because people are moving their money out of the small banks into the bigger banks. And what we're learning is that the little masquerade that the Silicon Valley Bank was playing sort of exposed something that probably a lot of other banks are doing. They were hiding their losses because they were allowed to, because of the government got involved, and created a system that allowed them to basically cover up the fact that they were failing or in debt until it was too late. This is why I'm not a big fan of governments. Wow, it's and then of course we still got wars going on. We got wars going on that we're ignoring. We got the big one going on, of course, Ukraine and Russia, but we still got a lot of hostilities going on in Yemen, which is nasty. We got fights going all over the place. Um, we got the humanitarian disasters going on in the Congo. Um, so that we can have batteries for all this stuff that we think we're saving the planet with. Meanwhile, we're basically just destroying the country of Congo, and wow, just all these horrible things. And of course, we got the train derailments going on. Wow, there's a lot going on that you could get really. It's easy to get weighed down by. But I like to go back to that, to the whole adage. Well, okay, it's all falling apart. What can I do about it? And beyond writing letters to congressmen and changing the profile picture in your Facebook page, I mean, what really can we do about any of this stuff? Well, what you can do for your own peace of mind and happiness is take care of yourself. You know, Just because the rest of the world's going to hell doesn't mean you need to jump into the handbasket. You don't have to participate in all that. In fact, we need you. The world needs you to not participate in the fear. If you really want to make a difference, become stronger, and don't fall into the fear. Don't fall into that those mental traps. Don't waste your life worrying about things you have no control over. Take care of it. Like I said, pay attention to what's going on. I'm not saying ignore everything. But as I like to say, it's not about ignoring things. It's about giving things a proper amount of attention. And taking care of yourself and taking care of your family and taking care of your own personal needs, you're just going to be happy and healthier in every way if you're focused on that versus focused on things you have no control over. That's what it is. That's what it is, my friends. Yeah, a lot of these conspiracy ideas we're starting to realize were true. so, so it's kind of it's really. I mean, you have to sit back and just sort of enjoy it because, look, if everything was perfect, we'd all be bored, and we would be trying to find because we're wired for controversy. We're wired for. I mean, think about it. If uh, our ancestors used to have to hunt every day and used to have to forage for their own food every day in their own existence. I mean, every day was a battle to stay alive, and we found ways to make things less cumbersome. We took out most of the animals out there that could kill us. We ate them. I mean, think about that. I mean, we're, as a species, we've done some pretty interesting things, but today's world is it is an amazing time to be alive. You just look at everything, all the things that we can do, all the things that we take for granted. I'm still amazed every time I pick up my phone. I mean, yeah, I grew up watching 007, watching James Bond, and one of the things I loved about the James Bond movies is they had all these gadgets and all these amazing communication devices, and how to watch that he could talk to somebody on his watch, and all these amazing things. And I remember as a kid thinking, man, that'd be so cool if that was real. And here we are. I mean, now we have. I mean, if you go watch an old James Bond movie from the '60s, you look at it and go, "What's the big deal about that?" Because I mean, just to have grew up there and then just watch the progress of everything. It's just amazing. It's just truly amazing. It's a great time. It's a really beautiful and amazing time to be alive in this world. And in spite of all of its stupidness, as I like to say. So anyway, well, I got to go work on my book, and I'm going to start doing public speaking. I'm going to start doing demotivational talks, as it were. I just want to get out there and spread the good word. I want to entertain people and have a good time, but I got some things I got to go work on. So anyway, so we'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow once again at 9 a.m. Thank you so much for your love, for your kindness, your support, and I hope you have a super freaking awesome day.